Welcome to the Star Podcast.
Whoa. Star Podcast.
Welcome to the Star Podcast, hosted by Nat. Each week, we share tips and stories from safety, trucking, and recruitment, and everything in between. Listen now.
Welcome back to another episode. Today's episode is a hard one to listen to. Emily Stoneman joins us today to share the story about her father and his tragic workplace accident. And Emily is a wonderful speaker, beautiful human being. The way that she shares the story about her father and shares her idea of why workplace safety is so important and the importance of the day of mourning. She speaks so amazing. What a incredible human being. It's a very hard episode for me to listen to. If you watch the video, you'll see I get pretty emotional. And I don't know Emily and I don't know her father Bryn, but just hearing this story, and I think it really brings that human aspect to workplace safety and why it's so important. So I highly recommend you listen to the episode. Emily's amazing, and I want to thank her for sharing her story, for honoring her father, Bryn, and just for being with us and being so honest and vulnerable. I don't think I could have did the same thing. It was hard for me to even go back and edit the episode because it's so emotional. So I just want to give a warning that it is emotional, but it's such an important episode. I hope everyone listens to it. I hope you share this so that we can help reach more people, remind people of the importance of being safe at work, but being safe at home, and just keeping that in the back of your mind always. So thank you again so much, Emily. You're amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us. And thank you to Susan and Eugene for connecting me with Emily for this episode. Eugene and Susan with the Threads of Life. If you have not heard of Threads of Life, go back and listen to my episode with Eugene. He shares a really great insight into what Threads of Life is. And listen now.
Yeah, so I just want to thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. It's much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I am excited to share my story about my dad.
For anyone who's not familiar with you, if you can just share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up, just so that everyone kind of can hear a little bit more about you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Born in Brantford, born and raised. I currently live in Waterloo with my husband and my two dogs. I am a registered behavior analyst, which the short form of this is I work with various ages and developmental disabilities to teach meaningful skills, and I work with families to reduce challenging behaviors that affect daily life and overall well-being. I am also an only child. So growing up, it was just me, my mom, and my dad.
Do you enjoy what you do?
I love what I do. It's really, I enjoy it a lot. I had done my undergrad. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just kind of picked a major at university because I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm 18. How do I decide what I want to do with the rest of my life?
Exactly.
So in my undergrad, I had taken some classes, and it led me to doing my master's at Brock, which then led me into the field that I am now. And I love working with families and helping them make change and offering them resources and solutions to kind of change their daily life and their overall well-being. So I really enjoy what I do.
Well, that's amazing. So how long have you been doing that for?
I graduated from my master's in 2018. So I was working in the field during my master's, but it's been about since 2018.
Oh, wow.
So for a while now, yeah.
So we got kind of introduced because I did a podcast with Eugene, who's with the Threads of Life organization. Okay. And we were talking about having maybe some speakers who would be available to come on to speak about workplace tragedies and bring more of the human side of it, and you were recommended, Susan also recommended you with Threads of Life, and you're one of the Threads of Life speakers, correct?
Yeah, I am.
So how did that come to be? Did you want to share a little bit about your father, Bryn, right?
Yeah, his name was Bryn. Yeah. So I can kind of go into the volunteer story first, and then I'll go into like my dad's story.
Yes.
So it all did start with losing my dad. So I lost my dad tragically in 2020 to a workplace tragedy. My mom, someone reached out to my mom and had told her about Threads of Life, and she then sent me the information. And from there, I was kind of looking at their website, and I was like, I didn't know this kind of thing existed. Like, this is pretty helpful for these situations. So from there, I connected with the Family Guides, which is just like a program where they match you up with someone that has been in a similar situation as you, to kind of help support you by listening, offering guidance, all of that stuff. So I got matched up with a lovely lady. Her name's Lisa. We still talk to this day.
Oh,
but she really helped me through all the things. And she had a similar experience too, because her dad also passed away in a workplace tragedy. So we were able to kind of relate that way. It was kind of like we joined a club that we didn't want to be in.
Right.
So,
but that's so nice to have someone that has had a similar experience, because I imagine it's not something everyone can relate to.
No, it's a weird club to be in, because it's my friend, and none of my friends had experienced that or had been through that, or I don't think I even knew anyone that had been through that. So it kind of felt isolating. I feel like losing a parent in general is just kind of isolating, especially at a young age, because a lot of your friends still have their parents around. And I lost my dad. I was 26 when I lost my dad. So
wow.
Yeah, so no one else could really relate, especially for this certain situation. So having someone through the Family Guides that could relate with me was really powerful and helpful through the situation.
So I don't know if you feel comfortable to share your father's story and what happened.
Yeah. So I always like telling my father's story by talking a little bit about him first, because he was a wonderful man. My parents had me when they were really young, and then they split up when I was young. So I always kind of felt like I grew up alongside my parents. They were both 19 when they had me. So they were still trying to figure out their life while raising me too. So I feel like in some aspects, me and my dad kind of grew up together, figured out life. My dad was a guy who loved like the simple things in life. Like, he just wanted to come home and nap after work. He wanted to spend time with his dog. He'd always had dogs, like, growing up. So he loved spending time with his dogs. He also loved working on cars. He was really big on buying cars off of Kijiji for like really cheap and like fixing them up, and just also buying random stuff off of Facebook Marketplace. He was always on Facebook Marketplace. I don't know what he did all the time, but he was just always scrolling Facebook Marketplace, watching some random shows on TV. He was just like a simple guy, like a simple bachelor, like living alone with his dog. But yeah, he had kind of worked a bunch of different jobs throughout my lifetime. He never really settled on a job. I think he just always wanted to kind of explore, see what was out there. One time he did get a job trucking. And that, I think, was his favorite job. He loved being able to like jump in the truck, do some long hauls across the country. He loved to go out to Alberta and BC and like see the mountains. He always talked about how like the mountains were so powerful, and he just felt so at peace there. So when my dad finally landed on a job, which was trucking, COVID hit. So he then lost his job, and he was trying to find something else. But of course, it was COVID. Everyone was kind of working from home, and everyone was kind of just struggling to find jobs. So my dad ended up finding a job at this factory that they were dismantling it. He had worked here previously before the trucking, and then they had offered for him to come back and just kind of help out with taking things down and dismantling the factory. He also got to work alongside his brother because his brother was working at that job too. So he was content. He had gotten a new job. Things were going well. During that time too, so my dad passed away on August 17th, and previously on August 14th, my dad was there to help me and my husband move into our brand new house. We had some fun times together, like chatting. He helped us move in. He had all these plans to like help us out with our brand new house. So he had come over again on that weekend too and was like, I'm going to come back next Sunday. I'm going to help you tear down this tree, all these wonderful plans. But the next day was August 17th, which I then received a phone call saying that my dad was in an accident at work. So that day, my dad and his brother were tasked to go up onto the roof to I think to dismantle some equipment on the roof.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was up on the roof without any fall protection, and he stepped onto a rusted skylight, and it gave way, and he fell 25 feet. And
wow,
he died. Yeah, he died at the scene. So
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, it was definitely a preventable fatality, but without wearing fall protection.
And so his brother was right there?
Yes, his brother was beside him on the roof with him. So he immediately went down, started CPR. There were some other workers around too that called 911. 911 came and he was pronounced dead at the scene.
That's so awful. I'm sure it affected everyone so much, but how was his brother's? Because I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, no, not seeing your brother fall to his death definitely took a huge toll on him and his mental health and all of that. So
yeah, that's so tragic. Well, I'm so very sorry that happened.
My dad too, like in his jobs that he had throughout his lifetime, he and his friend had opened up like a little roofing company. So my dad was comfortable being on a roof. And one of the things that my uncle had said afterwards too was that they've done this a million times. They've done this a bunch of times. So they didn't think anything was going to happen because nothing had happened before.
Right.
But it just takes that one time for everything to change. And that's unfortunately what happened to my dad that day. He was comfortable on being on the roof. He had a history of roofing, and yeah, he'd done it before.
Yeah.
Just this one time.
I don't have anything to say other than I'm sorry. I mean, it's just such a tragedy, and like you have all these plans with your dad, so I can imagine. So I mean, the fact that you can even just come on here and share the story, I think's amazing. And just to remind other people to always be careful, no matter how experienced you are or how new to a job you are.
Yeah, things can change in an instant, and it can be life altering. Even an illness or an injury at work can be life changing. And unfortunately for my dad, it was a fatality. That changed everything. We had plans the day before for him to come back to help us out with our brand new house that we had moved in. And my dad was the kind of dad that was supportive almost to a fault. Like he showed up to everything. He showed up to birthdays. He showed up to my graduation. He was constantly just showing up for me for everything. And I remember telling him when we bought the house that he was so excited for us. He even did like the walkthrough with us before we actually had our move-in day. And you could tell how proud he was. And I think that's part of me and him kind of growing up together too, that I was kind of a huge part of his life. And he was just the proudest dad. He never failed to tell me how proud he was of me. And like on Facebook, he was a big Facebook guy. He was like one of those where he liked to post. Yeah, he would post like memes and just like general posts and all of that. Yes. Like he played some Facebook games back in the day too, but he would always post on Facebook like how proud he was of me. And like before his tragedy, he'd like posted about me and my husband and like how proud he was and all of this. So like he was a really good father. He also, like, for his friends too, he was the type of guy that like you could always call on like any time of the day to come help you if like your car broke down or you needed help moving something or fixing something in your house. He was always around for his friends. And
well, I think it's so special that now you can honor him by sharing his story and telling others what kind of person he was. I think that's such a special and nice way to honor his memory, for sure.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I got into being a speaker at Threads of Life, because it wasn't until last year, so 2025, that I had volunteered to be a speaker, because it had just taken a while for me to figure out my grief, and grief is a complex thing. So trying to navigate, grief and like grief of a parent and figure out the new normal. I find with grief, it's a whole new world. Like you had your before and now you have your after, and your after looks so much different. And you're trying to get back to that before, but you can't, because it's a whole new world. So navigating through that grief had taken me a little bit. And it wasn't until last year that I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready to share my dad's story. I think there's a lot of importance in his story, and just thinking about like something that you've done multiple times before and you've never had an accident, or nothing's ever happened to you. So you think that, yeah, for sure, I can do it again. Like I'll be safe. But this time he wasn't safe, and it ultimately led to his death. So I knew that I needed to share his story so that other people could hear his story and hopefully think twice before doing that job that they did 1,000 times before, and actually think about the safety. And refusing unsafe work, I think, is really important. When they're tasked to go up on the roof, he could have said no. And so there's so many what ifs in his story, and I would just hate for another family to have to experience the same what ifs.
No, that's a great reminder to everyone, and like a very real reminder, like something that actually happened. So we're coming up, if everyone's listening to this in real time, it may have already passed, but the day of mourning's coming up, the end of April. So just with your experience and everything, what does that day mean to you?
The day of mourning is a deeply personal day to me. I think about before all of this happened, like before my dad died at work, I remember hearing on the radio, like driving in the car and hearing these ads for the day of mourning and thinking to myself, wow, this is like, to lose someone at work, like I can't even fathom that. Like I can't even think about what that would feel like. I remember just kind of not realizing that this could be me in the future. And just those ads on the radio were just always so deep and so emotional. Sometimes I'd even turn them off because I was like, this is too much. And so now the day of mourning does relate to me because I lost my dad in a workplace tragedy. So I think the day of mourning, it represents more than just a day. It represents real people, real families, real loss. And it's a day to remember my dad and all the others that have lost their lives in these workplace tragedies, but then also a reminder that these things are preventable. If we think about the safety and thinking twice before doing those jobs, like this could be prevented. So this day is about honoring the workers, but then also making sure that we can do everything we can so that fewer families have to live this reality, so that fewer families can be the old me listening to the ads on the radio thinking, this could never happen to me. This isn't my reality. This will never be my reality. But unfortunately, it became my reality. So preventing those for other people, I think it's important on the day of mourning.
I think that was an absolute perfect description of the day. So thank you for that. That was really, really good. Are you involved? So you're a speaker for the Threads of Life and you're involved with their programs and everything.
Yep.
Are you involved also with the Steps for Life walk? And
yeah. Actually, this is my first year. I'm going to be a spokesperson at the Mississauga Walk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I get to be the spokesperson for the walk. And I think Steps of Life is such an important thing. It's a way to kind of bring everyone together, whether they have experienced the same thing or whether they want to raise awareness for workplace tragedies. It just always... yeah, it's a comforting space, I feel like, where families and friends and communities can come together and remember their loved ones. And they have little signs along the walk too of people that had lost their lives or their lives have been altered in workplace tragedies along the walk. So it's also an emotional time to kind of put faces to the names and to the statistics. And
I didn't know they did that. That's really special.
Yeah. So my dad will be on one of the little signs in the Mississauga Walk.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening that's not super familiar, so Threads of Life is an organization and it supports families affected by workplace accidents, tragic deaths. They have different programs, and then the Steps for Life kind of complements that, and it helps raise money for the organization so that they can offer all these programs for free for the families, which I think is absolutely amazing. So anyone can participate for the Steps for Life walk. You can volunteer, you can just go and walk, you can donate money if you don't want to participate in the walk. So there's lots of different ways to participate, and Eugene a few episodes ago had kind of explained everything about Threads of Life and Steps for Life. So people can go back and listen to that because he's a really great speaker as well and shared some really good information. But anyone can go to stepsforlife.ca, I believe it is, and learn more about the walk and everything. So what does workplace safety mean to you, and what do you want everyone to take away from this?
Workplace safety to me means making it home at the end of the day. Being able to come home to your family. It's not about rules on the paper, it's about the people. It's about someone's parent, someone's partner, someone's child walking through that door at the end of the day. It's important to stand up for safety in your workplace. Don't be afraid to speak up. I know that there's always a stigma around workplace safety, and sometimes people feel like they can't stand up for their own safety, but it's important. It's important to speak up, refuse the unsafe work, and look out for each other too. Creating a culture that's about looking out for each other and making sure that your fellow coworkers make it home to their family at the end of the day. Because if you look out for them, they're going to look out for you too. Also, just remembering that if it's a job that you've done before, that it might not be fine that next time. It only takes one moment for everything to change. For your life to change, for your family's life to change. No job, no deadline, no shortcut is worth your life. None of that is worth it. It's not worth it for you to be hurt at work, for you to die at work, for your family to have to go through the grief that I've had to go through with losing my dad at work. I think it's simple as my dad should still be here. His story didn't have to end the way it did. That's why I want to keep talking about workplace safety. Because if it makes one person stop and think and choose to do something more safely, then it matters.
Absolutely. You said that perfectly. Especially looking out for each other, I think, for sure, because you might see something that's about to happen that they didn't see. Same goes for you. And if you have each other's back, absolutely. I think that's so important.
Yeah. His story can't be changed, unfortunately, but someone else's can. So I think it's important to watch out for each other and refuse unsafe work. Speak up if you see something. Make sure that everyone's making it home to their families at the end of the day.
For sure. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you wanted to mention, or any final words or anything that we didn't talk about your dad that you wanted to end with or anything?
Yeah, so I think it's important to put names and stories to these statistics and realize that these people aren't just numbers. They're not just names that you see in a news article. They are real people with real lives. People like my dad, who was just a guy who helped out his friend, was proud of his daughter, just kind of loved to like be with his dogs and take hikes. Like, he was a simple guy, but you don't see that in those stories. You don't see who they are. So I think it's important to hear these stories, as uncomfortable as they may feel to hear. But if telling my dad's story and telling people about who he was as a person, unfortunately, how his death was preventable, it's important to listen to these things so that more families don't have to go through the tragedy that my family had to go through.
You're exactly right, because you hear like there's this legislation you need to follow, there's this safety precaution that we need to follow, this person, like age, had a workplace accident, and it's all just like the facts or the statistics. And you're right, like adding this human, like my dad Bryn, and sharing his story, and he loved his dogs and everything like that, you really feel it then, and you're like, you're right, like it was a human that had this accident. So we appreciate you coming on here and being so brave and open.
Thank you. It's a hard story to tell, but it's definitely an important one to tell.
It is. And you share everything so wonderfully, like explaining your dad, sharing about the day of mourning. I think you captured that perfectly. Sharing about workplace safety was bang on. Everything, like you just explain everything so well. So you're doing an amazing job, and keep doing what you're doing, because you're definitely making a difference and you're making your dad proud.
Thank you. That's all I want, I know my dad's proud of me wherever he is. He never failed to tell me about it. So just making him proud, I think, is the most important thing here. Just making sure that everyone knows about him and how wonderful he was.
Well, we're honored to be able to share your story on here. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I am excited to hear it. I'm excited for people to hear about the safety and the importance of it. And if this helps someone stop and think before they do something that could be unsafe, then I've accomplished what I set out to do.
One very last thing for anyone maybe that resonates with your story, maybe they want to reach out to you. Do you share like personal details that people can reach out to you, or do people go through the Threads of Life to contact you, or how would that go?
They can go through Threads of Life. I also can pass along like my Instagram too. I don't really share stories. I do share stories of my dad on there. Not in this kind of details, but I would like to actually more. So if they do want to reach out to me personally, my Instagram is Emily Stoneman, so EmilysToneman. And they can feel free to reach out to Threads of Life too.
Perfect. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much again. Again, you do an amazing job, and we appreciate your time and your story and hearing about your dad, Bryn, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Whoa. Star